right. Well, good afternoon, Shamika. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so happy to have you. So, throughout the month of February, we've been connecting with business owners, specific business owners of color. So, I want to have you please share a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you help our community.
Okay. You want me to answer all that at once?
Sure, go for it.
Or you want me to break it up?
You can break it up, however is more comfortable for you.
Okay, so first I'll introduce myself. So first, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to participate in this for Black History Month. So this is exciting. Next, my name is Shamica Frasier. I am the owner of New Birth Journey, which was established February of 2020. I'm a birth and postpartum doula as well as a lactation counselor. I usually work more in the birth lens though.
Okay, awesome. So, I'm sorry, you said you typically work in what area?
The birth lens. So there's birth and postpartum that I am certified for, but I usually do more birth than I actually got to do postpartum.
Okay, awesome. So, this is actually an area that I'm not at all familiar with. I've never had any experience or personally known anyone to actually use a doula. So, tell me a little bit about what you've seen as far as people in our community using our services. Have you seen an increase in that? And what are some of the benefits, I guess, to using them?
Okay, so I believe you asked me what it was. So a doula can be many things. Um, Initially, we are non-medical, and we are a support in the birth and postpartum realm. And I say we can be many things because some doulas go ahead and get a certification for herbs to be a herbalist. Some which get tacked on to them being a doula, and sometimes they use that within their own practice to support a client, as well as some learn about fertility. Some learn about belly binding, which is just using a cloth. In Hispanic culture, they use rebozos to wrap your stomach after postpartum to help kind of get things back in place. So we start out with, I'll say we'll start out with one certificate and then we end up typically loving it, and we end up going down a road of looking for more ways to expand and support more clients and support more range of all different kind of sorts of people and to connect with them. Also, what our initial goal is to decrease the stress and the strain that comes with being pregnant and carrying a child for a segment of time. So with that, we will coach a client through. We will talk to them. We will provide them more information. We want to make sure that they're informed, that they're not just taking the resources from just a medical provider, but also taking those resources and looking further into what's been said to them, and to be able to exercise their rights in a birth-in hospital or birth room of some sort. Also to encourage them, if they want to do a home birth, that we support them. We are not OBGYNs or midwives. We get mistaken for them often. Those are actually medical professionals. OBGYN can perform a C-section or a form of surgery, and then a midwife is doesn't necessarily do a C-section or anything like that. They would kind of like, go through a regular pregnancy, labor, and delivery with you. But when it comes to a surgical part, it's kind of where they stop at. We come in more on the coaching side of things and supporting you through making sure you know that you're not alone, making sure that you know that you are informed, again, exercising your rights, even when it comes down to doing light duty work around the house, just to alleviate you having to get up and move around and really try to exhort yourself. You know, you need all that energy to have a baby in that labor room. So we try to take off some of the pressure of those things and also keep everything afloat. I believe your other question was, have I seen more Black and brown people gravitating towards utilizing a doula? Um, so far, I believe so. I'm hearing more talk about it. Being asked more questions about it personally, but also I know a lot of other Black and brown doulas across the states who, their clients are Black and brown people. So I'm starting to hear that it is being talked about more. We're getting a lot more support from hospitals as well, who are introducing doulas as well. Uh, Medicaid is moving towards adding doulas as an insurance policy and part of the insurance policy in certain states. So all states are not covered under insurance to have a doula. Usually having a doula is an out-of-pocket expense, but some states are motioning towards that being a part of their Medicaid program.
Okay, awesome. So, of course, my children are actually 13 and 11. So I feel like when I was having babies over a decade ago, there wasn't as many doulas who looked like me, or even, I don't know that many of my friends were even talking about it or doing it, for lack of a better word. So can you tell us what's some of the benefit, I guess, of using a doula versus using an OBGYN or a midwife?
Well, I wouldn't say one is necessarily better or anything than the other. I would say when you are pregnant, you need a team. You know, the famous saying is, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to birth a child as well. It takes a village to birth, postpartum, all of that, lactation. It takes a whole entire village from beginning and then some. I think for some, unfortunately, the village sometimes leaves and fall apart. And then for others, if you're fortunate to have it, I'm pretty sure would say that it's definitely needed. I feel like the OBGYN and typically the midwife, they are most of the time, unless they're a home birth midwife, but most of the time you catch them in the office, and what do? They provide you a level of information. You know, you close down your session with them for the day. They send you off with a packet or two or a piece of paper or two with whatever y'all discussed for the day, and that's it. The benefit of having a doula is because after they have done that, once you come to us and you have questions, first of all, you can have a doula from the time you go ahead and pee on the stick and find out that you're pregnant, because then we can start working on things early with you all the way until your labor, where we will support you in the labor and delivery room if you have it there, or home birth, or etc., wherever you like. But how we start doing that is typically we will create a birth plan. With that birth plan, you will write down, you know, what your needs and your wants are. What are your what do you kind of, it's like a blueprint of what would you like to happen during your journey of your pregnancy to your labor and delivery. And then what happens is we'll take that and we start moving in that way to support you. If you have any health concerns, that is good for us to know, because then we will help inform you and work around ways to help you get to the healthiest, happiest birth as possible by what you have shared with us, on top of that birth plan. So say if you have gestational diabetes and you are pregnant, we may have you drink more fluids. Like, hey, did you drink your fluids today? You know, let's get outside, get some fresh air, and just walk. Which we all know walking is good for delivery in the long run. Or, hey, you know what? can I do some meal prep for you? How about, instead of you trying to figure out and process all the sugar, let's try a different diet plan. Let's try, going lighter on something more healthier for you. Instead of picking up Oreos, how about we try some celery today or something like that? Just, it's like kind of keeping you accountable in a sense for your best and your better, for the long haul and the long game. When we get towards the end, it's when we're like, okay, you know what, let's continue stretching. Let's do some yoga activity where you get to stretch in a ball and open up that pelvic. And we don't just educate you. If you have a partner or a family or friend or whatsoever that's going to help you along the way as well, they 9 times out of 10 will get the education too, which can be beneficial to you because, God forbid, we just aren't around for whatever reason and you start feeling the labor pain. At least if they also have the education as well, they can support you during that duration too until we could get back to you or whatsoever. So I think being a doula comes with tons of benefits, especially for us Black and brown people. Because the maternal death rate, or mortality rate is we're 3 times more likely to end up passing away during childbirth than any other race. So, and I think part of it is because of not knowing your rights. So you kind of are in the midst of labor and you start just signing away anything. Sure, give me a C-section, sure, this and that. You don't really ask no questions. But having a doula advocate in that room and watching everything that's happening, it's kind of like we'll go, wait a minute, let's let this person think about this real quick and looking into what options they may have or if they really want to do this before they feel pressured to just say yes. Another part of it is sometimes just straight up negligence. Some hospitals don't have the best record. Sorry to say, but some hospitals don't have the best record and they have issues when it comes to the maternal sector. And what happens is there are women that we have lost that are Black and brown women who were put at risk, and they also were ignored in those birthing rooms and those labor and delivery rooms. So it's a lot that goes into it. I've also, if I'm not mistaken, just recently heard we are also Black and brown women are also the top to have heart attacks while giving birth, which was interesting to me because I'm just like, if I'm not mistaken, there were just recently a couple of passings that the women had heart attacks during their delivery. Which could have stemmed from numerous things that could have been ignored along the way, and then the delivery happened, or something could have been ignored amongst the labor and delivery room, and then the heart attack happened, and which now, after it's all said and done, you got to go back and look at what was written down in those charts, what actually happens in them rooms. Like, it gets really real when it comes to us and our people in these maternal rooms. So I feel like it's a great benefit, especially if you can have a doula that looks similar to you, that talks like you, that understands you, that can relate to you, rather if it's a Black or brown person, rather if it's a LGBT doula, rather if it is someone else. Get you one that aligns with you, that you could connect with the most, because this is about to be your road dog.
I love that. I love that. So, I mean, one of the big things you said, the key word is planning. Planning is our jam. So, although we do very different things, a big part of what we try to focus on is helping people be proactive and kind of looking at what they want the big picture to look like so that they can more or less get their ducks in a row. And it sounds like that's a big part of what you do, not only helping people look at the bigger picture, but plan on how they want their pregnancy to kind of play out. And it sounds like you kind of hand in hand or work hand in hand with someone like an OB or a midwife, or really both if you happen to have? Is that pretty much accurate?
Yes, yes. So we definitely build that bridge in between client and the medical staff, even before the delivery room when they're even just doing appointments, because we can come to appointments as well. If you be like, hey, if you're a client, you're like, hey, I got this appointment coming up. We're supposed to be discussing this, but I don't really understand. Could you come with me? Some of us, yeah, we'll go. A lot of being a doula, we get to be flexible like that a lot of times. So we get to go and send and be like, hey, could you break this down, or ask the hard questions or whatsoever, or address matters that the client could be concerned about. So yeah, and then we get to build that bridge of communication and understanding to get a better outcome for this client.
That's awesome. Of course, in my world, it's never too early to plan. In fact, I encourage people to plan as early as possible. As soon as they become an adult, they probably should be looking at doing some type of planning. So
Yeah.
in your world, is it ever too early to start working with a doula? When do you typically recommend that someone come and chat with you or work with you?
I feel like, to be honest, to get the best out of having a doula, as soon as you pee on a stick and you find out, to start looking for one and interview them. I say interview them, interview your midwife, interview your OBGYN. Why? Because this is not just your life, this is your baby's life, or if you having multiple babies, life at stake, at risk. So you can't play with that.
Yeah.
Let alone on the financial end, this has a lot to do with your insurance as well. They don't get paid. Your OB or your midwife don't get paid unless your insurance pays them. And who pays the insurance? You do. So yeah, you gotta get up on that early to get, how they say, more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say get a doula as fast as you can, interview them in a sense of ask questions, see if you align with them. If you get a great vibe, you feel like, you know what, I'm gonna roll with her or whoever, because now we have a lot of hem doulas coming. So
Mm.
the guys that are coming through as our male doulas, but if you can connect with one, start building that bridge and that relationship early, because when it's game time and you're in that room, it gets personal. It gets personal because now your hormones are high, your emotions are high, and sometimes when you giving birth, you go a little on the fritz. And I say that because you're like, oh my gosh, I see, them rolling stuff in, and I see, what's this sheet for, and what's this, and what's going on. You go on a fritz, but to be able to look over and you have someone that can be your partner on one side and then your doula on the other, and you can go back into that space in your mind like, I'm good because my team is here. It provides that relaxation that you're going to need to continue to process through that labor. When you are well prepared like that, when you have that relationship already established, because this person isn't just a person that you just met off the street and that's just helping you with a labor. This is a person that you build that relationship with, and you have built this journey with, that you have established this friendship, this connection with. So as soon as possible is great, because you got to think you're going through a whole entire 9 months. You know how we clock into work. Some of us who clock in like like outside of this, me, but and you clock in and you do so many things in an 8-hour shift. Imagine having a doula that's working with you for 9 months. All the things that you can get done, process, you can have set up for you to prepare for your big moment. Because when it's game time and you are in that room and your mind start wandering, and you're like, what's going on and what to do and this and that, and you start feeling antsy, you're going to know that, dang, I got my partner or my family or my friend here, but I also have the support here who's going to also look for my best and my better. And they're going to be surveying this room and making sure that I'm good, and providing me opportunities for when I can't speak, they can interject and build that bridge between medical professional and me to also provide that level of safety and security, where I don't just feel just like I'm in here naked, like not you naked literally, but just in here naked and so vulnerable. Like you feel more safer and secure because you have built that relationship.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I always think that having a team, really anything that you're doing, is very important, because different people are going to be able to fill different roles in your journey and in whatever it is that you have going on. But I want to kind of go back a little bit. You mentioned earlier that women of color typically are or have some of the highest death rates when they're giving birth. And obviously, having an advocate who has gone through this process many different times and with many different women could be a great benefit. So, what are some of the questions that you recommend that a person who's interviewing doula should ask to make sure that they are a good fit and that this person would actually be someone who would have their best interest in heart?
Um, for your doula, I would say when you're looking for a doula, you kind of want to ask, first of all, overall, you want to get a general idea of how they view things that are important to you. So, say you're a person that you may not want to breastfeed, right? You don't want no doula or any professional at that, medical professional, looking at you like, oh, she don't want to breastfeed. Like
I'm
looking
gonna
at
judge you.
you don't want that energy. You want someone who's going to be there, that's going to support you and be fine with giving you information so you can help make the best decisions that are for you without feeling like you're being side-eye for whatever your decision is. Because everyone has an opinion, right? So you want to ask questions like, hey, what do you feel about breastfeeding, rather if you are or aren't going to do it? What do you feel about circumcision and stuff like that? Because some people are really passionate about it and take it, very seriously for whatever their reason is, regardless if they're for it or not for it. But again, nobody wants to sit there in the laboring room and everybody's side eye because
Right.
views don't align. So you want to make sure that you're definitely in alignment with them, and then you ask kind of questions like that. You also can ask them how many have they have supported and what have they learned from their experiences. What are some things in the birthing world that stand out that may personally concern that doula? Because we do get to see some things, and we may talk amongst ourselves and share our thoughts and opinions, but um not all the time do we get the opportunity to share our thoughts and opinions with our client as well, because some, you don't want to scare them away and start being like, oh, well, I seen this, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen to me. You don't want that to happen, but you definitely may want some insight of, okay, what's new out there in this birthing world that may be happening, that so you can start preparing yourself, like, oh, okay, oh, they're changing this policy or they're doing something new with this, and also get insight on, again, how the doula feels about it whatsoever. You will want to not only ask questions, but you want to express your concerns for whatever you may feel in the sake of maybe your health. Maybe you had diabetes before your pregnancy, and you wonder if they have worked around someone who was pregnant and diabetic. Maybe you have something else going on with yourself. Maybe you have been in a rape scenario, and how they will help you maneuver through that. You really want to see, it's basically like looking at a picture and seeing how you can best utilize it and customize it in the sense of making it work for you. It's kind of like in a sense like pottery when you're molding the clay, but you're molding something to work in your best and your better in the end, because you want to have a memorable birth experience that you don't look back on and feel upset with, not necessarily. Or you feel, at least if anything isn't right, at least you could look over and say, like, I chose a person that I know that they brought their best, and they had my best interest in heart, versus feeling like I chose a person that just, I didn't feel supported. I didn't know where they was at. They were showing up late, what kind of stuff. You want to feel good. But the same way you interview your doula, interview your OBGYN, interview your midwife, interview them as well, because you want to know how many cesareans have they had, because cesareans have been on a rise, but just because they're on a rise don't mean that they're always necessary. Some cesareans are classified as emergency, and it's not really an emergency, but the client doesn't know, because of the simple fact that they were not informed, or wasn't informed on all of their options. So, if basically evaluate and use your discernment for your whole entire team. Also know that this is your money or your funding to get what you need. So you want to make sure that you're making an investment that you are pretty firm and happy with.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I think I learned a lot about your area today. I honestly didn't know much about it, and it sounds like overall a doula is kind of your birthing buddy, your bestie, your advocate, a person who's going to kind of support you through the process and make sure that your plan essentially is carried out.
Yes. I always like when I started out explaining what a doula is, I always say, how we sign up for the gym and then we don't go, and then we'll go, okay, well, I'll get a fitness trainer, and we get a fitness trainer. What do fitness trainers do? They listen to what your goal is, and then they create a plan with you to help you get there. So we are getting you in tip-top shape to up your percentage of having a very happy, healthy, fulfilling, joyful birth.
That's awesome. All right, Shamika. So please, those who are watching, please share with us, how can people get in contact with you, where you're located, and how they can receive services should they need.
I am currently located in New Haven, Connecticut. But you can find me on basically almost every social media site. This year, I will be putting together a website, so you will have website access. But my business is called New Birth Journey. And so anytime you search up on Facebook New Birth Journey, I should pop up, or you can find me by my actual name, which is Shamica Frasier. I am also on Instagram as It's a Doula Journey. I believe I started a TikTok, but I'm not there often. But I am definitely accessible on Facebook, so you can shoot me a message there. You can also utilize my email, which is newbirthjourney24@gmail.com. So yeah, that's pretty much a majority of the places to find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shamika, for taking the time to chat and to educate me and our viewers on what a doula does and how you're helping our community. And I look forward to us getting an opportunity to chat and work again together.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
All right, sure thing. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.